What exactly is culture jamming? In short, it's a protest tactic used by anti-consumerist groups to prompt viewers to question the status quo and raise awareness of social justice issues, things such as sweatshop labor, police brutality, or the harmful effects of various consumer products. In short, culture jamming is a creative medium through which groups or individuals protest mindless consumerism and draw attention to its harmful effects. With this working definition in mind, the next question is, so what? What is the value proposition of culture jamming, and why does it matter? Facilitated primarily through the creation of ironic, provocative imagery, culture jamming campaigns can disrupt social norms in a powerful and thought-provoking way. When done effectively, campaigns can create heightened awareness in consumers that can lead them to be more demanding of corporations to adhere to higher ethical or health standards. As such, culture jamming can be a catalyst for social change. So, how do activists get their message across through culture jamming, also known as subvertising? Essentially, most culture jamming campaigns have two common features. The first is a creativity aspect that turns ads on their heads, and the second is the use of vivid imagery and sometimes a shock factor to elicit a visceral reaction. These two factors come together to ensure that the artist's message is conveyed in a memorable way that will stick in the minds of consumers. Now that we know the value of culture jamming, let's take a quick look at some of its limitations. Three common criticisms of the practice are the following. The first is that culture jamming is seen as all talk but no action. Subvertisers highlight issues but don't really provide any feasible solutions to those problems, thus they're not actually seen as facilitating any real change. The second issue is that the practice's scope of impact is heavily restricted by the negligible ratio of subvertising campaigns to mainstream advertising. That in terms of volume, there's no way subvertising will ever drown out the messaging of multinational giants, thus its impact is severely limited. The third common criticism is that culture jamming campaigns state the obvious and don't provide any new insights that consumers didn't already know about. A much-cited example of this is subvertising campaigns that highlight the adverse health effects of regular fast food consumption.
Culture jamming subverts the dominant ideologies of rampant capitalism and consumerism, bearing the capacity to foster a public discourse acting as a peaceful, artistic war waged against the thoughts and habits instilled upon the public by big corporations. This has the potential to establish a constructive, politically charged outlet that allows individuals to express themselves while simultaneously causing people to think differently. The end goal being to create an environment of individuals who are conscious beings, rather than blind consumers who give in to the desire of an artificial paradise marketed to them through material goods. There are several different mediums that acknowledge and utilize the absurdity of ads and false political promises against itself. In present times, this involves everything from peaceful protests to performance art. We as people have grown from solely being consumers of information to now participating in the production of information. The epitome of culture jamming production is meme culture. Looking to social media outlets such as Instagram and Reddit, where users are free to manipulate, distort, and appropriate images, events, and even the likeness of real people in an effort to highlight the lunacy of their actions or absurdity of their circumstances. Although this production and consumption of memes is intended for entertainment, oftentimes it serves as a more colloquial form of culture jamming. Although not as intellectually enlightening, it acts as an informal attack on the systems and constructs put into place by the people the public doesn't necessarily want or even need. Aside from memes, culture jamming has transitioned from the purely artistic scene to the much more perceptible realm of cinema, television, and popular culture. Several films that are regarded as cult classics tackle the notion that the current state of society is not indicative of a healthy lifestyle. Quoting Tyler Durden from Fight Club, "We are consumers. We are the byproducts of a lifestyle obsession." In these movies, the protagonists defy the typical societal norms by refusing to participate in the capitalistic rat race offered to them in the form of opportunity at the hands of corporate officials. This clip from Wayne's World does such a thing while satirizing those who fall victim to such greed.
Well, that's where I see things just a little differently. Contract or no, I will not bow to any sponsor.
Sorry you feel that way, but basically it's the nature of the beast.
Maybe I'm wrong on this one, but for me, the beast doesn't include selling out. Garth, you know what I'm talking about, right?
It's like people only do things because they get paid. And that's just really sad.
These forms of culture jamming poke holes in the brand-consumer relationship by exposing the true intentions of companies facading as charitable, bringing to light the fact that their actions are not coming from a place of altruism, instead with the intention of turning more people into customers and more people into consumers. We live in a day and age where society glorifies buying luxury goods, unnecessarily expensive food, fast cars, and big houses. Our Western lifestyle is surrounded by people in offices devising how to capture our attention and take our money with very little regard for the well-being of the customer. Being treated as a resource is no way to live. Therefore, I think the presence of culture jamming is not only much more prevalent through its many different forms, but is necessary today more than ever before.
Moving on to a culture jamming campaign example, today we will be following the Guerrilla Girls. Established in 1985, the Guerrilla Girls consist of a large group of anonymous female artists who stand up to sexism and racism in the world of art. They do this through various forms of culture jamming, such as billboards, books, public appearances, and posters. They are noted for their comedic approach to convey big messages and problems of inequality in the art community, wearing gorilla masks and embracing their unique collective identity. It all started with an exhibition launched by the MoMA in 1985 entitled An International Survey of Painting and Sculpture, which showed only 13 female artists and 0 black artists out of the 169 that were showcased. As a result, the group assembled and responded by posting culture jamming pieces of art around New York. Since then, they have grown immensely, gaining widespread attention on television talk shows such as Stephen Colbert and other news outlets. Additionally, they have worked with institutions such as MoMA and Tate Modern, both of which rejected their stance when they initially rose to the public eye. With plenty of exposure and fire behind what they do, there has been progress and expansion within the group as they continue to campaign and stick up for what is right in the face of the art community. One campaign in 1999 targeted Hollywood's lack of female directors who worked on the top 100 films. 20 years since this campaign, the Guerrilla Girls are re-acknowledging this issue, which still hasn't been solved. A celluloid ceiling reported in 2017 that out of the top 250 films to open at the domestic box office, only 1% of movies employed a minimum of 10 women in behind-the-scenes jobs, and 74% of them employed a minimum of 10 men in behind-the-scenes jobs. In 1998, only 9% of the directors of the 250 top films comprised of women. In 2017, that number only went up 2% to 11%, and then in 2018 it went down to 8%. Of course, these stats would not go unnoticed by the radical group who continue to push for equality. Here are examples of billboards and posters they use to address the issue in the form of culture jamming. Since the group first formed in 1985, 55 female artists still remain a part of this feminist movement. They have completed over 100 street projects, posters, and stickers around the world, and projects and exhibitions that shed light on the problems of discrimination existing in galleries and museums. As problems regarding inequality for women and ethnic minorities rise, the Guerrillas are sure to address it, doing so in a loud and provocative way.